She is a tall, dark beauty containing a great many beauty spots, one above the breast, one above the belly, one above the knee, one above the ankle, one above the buttock, one on the back of the neck. All of these are on the left side, more or less in a row as you go up and down. Spot, 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 spot. The hair is black as ebony, the skin white as snow. Bill is tired of Snow White now, but he cannot tell her. No, that would not be the way. Bill can't bear to be touched. That is new, too. To have anyone touch him is unbearable, not just Snow White, but also Kevin, Edward, Hubert, Henry, Clem, or Dan. That is a peculiar aspect of Bill, the leader. We speculate that he doesn't want to be involved in human situations anymore, a withdrawal. Withdrawal is one of the 4 modes of dealing with anxiety. We speculate that his reluctance to be touched springs from that. Dan does not go along with the anxiety theory. Dan does not believe in anxiety. Dan speculates that Bill's reluctance to be touched is a physical manifestation of a metaphysical condition that is not anxiety. But he is the only one who speculates that. The rest of us support anxiety. Bill has let us know in subtle ways that he doesn't want to be touched. If he falls down, you are not to pick him up. If someone holds out a hand in greeting, Bill smiles. If it is time to wash the buildings, he will pick up his own bucket. Don't hand him a bucket, for in that circumstance there is a chance that your hands will touch. Bill is tired of Snow White. She must have noticed that he doesn't go into the shower room now. We are sure she has noticed that. But Bill has not told her in so many words that he is tired of her. He has not had the heart to unfold those cruel words. Those cruel words remained locked in his lack of heart. Snow White must assume that his absence from the shower room in these days is an aspect of his not liking to be touched. We are certain she has assumed that. But to what does she attribute the not liking itself? We don't know. This is Jane. Mother, can I go over to Hogo's and play? No, Jane, Hogo is not the right type of young man for you to play with. He is 35 now, and that is too old for innocent play. I'm afraid that he knows some kind of play that is not innocent, and will want you to play it with him. And then you will agree in your ignorance, and then the fat will be in the fire. That is the way I have the situation figured out, anyhow. That is my reading of it. That is the way it looks from where I stand. Mother, all this false humility does not become you any more than that mucky old poor little match-girl dress you are wearing. This dress, I'll have you know, cost $240 when it was new. When was it new? It was new in 1918, the year your father and I were in the trenches together in the Great War. That was a war, all right. Oh, I know there have been other wars since, better publicized ones, more expensive ones perhaps, but our war is the one I'll always remember. Our war is the one that means war to me. Mother, I know Hogo is 35 and thoroughly bad through and through, but there is still something drawing me to him, to his house, to the uninnocence I know awaits me there. Simmer down, child. There is a method in my meanness. By refusing to allow you to go to Hogo's house, I will draw Hogo here, to your house, where we can smother him in blueberry flan and other kindnesses, and generally work on him and beat the life out of him in one way or another. That's shrewd, Mother. The poem remained between us like an immense wrecked railroad car. Touching the poem, we said, is it rhymed or free? Free, Snow White said, free, free, free. And the theme? One of the great themes, she said. That is all I can reveal at this time. Could you tell us the first word? The first word, she said, is bandaged and wounded. But run together, she said. We mentally reviewed the great themes in the light of the word or words, bandaged and wounded. How is it that bandage precedes wound, a metaphor of the self armoring itself against the gaze of the other? The theme is loss, we take it. What, she said, else? Are you specific as to what is lost? Brutally. Snow White, we said, why do you remain with us, here, in this house? There was a silence. Then she said, it must be laid, I suppose, to a failure of the imagination. I have not been able to imagine anything better. I have not been able to imagine anything better. We were pleased by this powerful statement of our essential mutuality, which can never be sundered or torn or broken apart, dissipated, diluted, corrupted, or finally severed, not even by art in its manifold and dreadful guises. "But my imagination is stirring," Snow White said, "like the long-sleeping stock certificate suddenly alive in its green safety deposit box because of new investor interest. My imagination is stirring. Be warned." Something was certainly wrong, we felt. Hogo was reading a book of atrocity stories. God, what filthy beasts we were, he thought, then. What a thing it must have been to be a Hun, a filthy Boche, and then to turn around and be a Nazi, a grey vermin. And today, we coexist. Filthy Deutschmarks, that so eclipse the very mark and texture, that so eclipse the very mark and bosom of a man, that vileness herself is vilely o'erthrown, that so enfold, that so inscrap, bloody Deutschmarks that so enwrap the very warp and texture of a man, that what we cherished in him vileness is, dies his ginger o'erthrown bald pelf, that so ingurgitates the very rack and mixture of a man, that in him the sweet stings of vileness are all ginger fled. Henry walked home with his suit in a plastic bag. He had been washing the buildings. But something was stirring in him, a wrinkle in the groin. He was carrying his bucket, too, and his ropes, but the wrinkle in his groin was monstrous. Now it is necessary to court her, and win her, and put on this clean suit, and cut my various nails, and drink something that will kill the millions of germs in my mouth, and say something flattering, and be witty and bonny, and hale and kinky, and pay her $1,000, all just to ease this wrinkle in the groin. It seems a high price. Henry let his mind stray to his groin. Then he let his mind stray to her groin. Do girls have groins? The wrinkle was still there. The remedy of origin, that is still open to one. That door, at least, has not been shut. Kevin was being understanding. We spend a lot of our time doing that, and even more of our time now that we have these problems. "Yes, that's the way it is, Clem," Kevin said to his friend, Clem. "That's the way it is. You tell it like it is, Clem, baby." Kevin said a lot more garbage to Clem. Peacocks walked through the yard in their gold suits. "Sometimes I see signs on walls saying, 'Kill the rich,'" Clem said. "And sometimes 'Kill the rich' has been crossed out and 'Harm the rich' written underneath. A clear gain for civilization, I would say. And then the one that says Jean-Paul Sartre is a fartre. Something going on there, you must admit, dim flicker of something. On the other hand, I myself have impulses toward violence uneasily concealed. Especially when I look out of the window at the men and women walking there. I see a great many couples, men and women, walking along in the course of a day because I spend so much time, as we all do, looking out of the windows to determine what is out there and what should be done about it. Oh, it is killing me the way they walk down the street together, laughing and talking, those men and women. Pushing the pram, too, whether the man is doing it or the woman is doing it. Normal life, and a fine October chill in the air. It is unbearable, this consensus, this damn felicity. When I see a couple fighting, I give them $1, because fighting is interesting. Thank God for fighting. "That's true, Roger," Kevin said 100 times. Then he was covered with embarrassment. "No, I mean, that's true, Clem. Excuse me, Roger is somebody else. You're not Roger, you're Clem. That's true, Clem." More peacocks walked through the yard in their splendid plumage. Trying to break out of this bag that we are in, what gave us the idea that there was something better? How does the concept something better arise? What does it look like, this something better? Don't tell me that it is an infant's idea, because I refuse to believe that. I know some sentient infants, but they are not that sentient. And then the great horde of persons, subsentient, who nevertheless can conceive of something better. I am thinking of a happy island. Intestate, Bill moved toward his lack of reward. We have raised him to the sky. Bill will doubtless become one of those sky heroes, like Theodicy and Rhyme, who govern the orderly rush of virgins and widows through the world. We lifted him toward the sky. Bill will become, doubtless, one of those sub-deities who govern the calm passage of cemeteries through the sky. If the graves fall open in mid-passage and swathed forms fall out, it will be his fault, probably. Anathematization of the world is not an adequate response to the world. Bill has been hanged. We regret that. He is the first of us ever to be hanged. We regret it, but that was the verdict. We had a hard time hanging him. We had never hanged anyone before, but fortunately we had Hogo to help us. Bill was hanged because he was guilty, and if you are guilty, then you must be hanged. He was guilty of vatricide and failure. He leaped about on the platform quite a bit. It was evident that he didn't wish to be hanged. It was a fearsome amount of trouble, the whole thing. But luckily Hogo was there with his quirt. That expedited things. Now there is a certain degree of equanimity. We prize equanimity. It means things are going well. Bill's friend Dan is the new leader. We have decided to let Hogo live in the house. He is a brute, perhaps, but an efficient brute. He is good at tending the vats. Dan has taken charge with a fine aggressiveness. He has added 3 new varieties to the line: baby water chestnuts, baby kimchi, baby bean thread. They are moving well, these new varieties. Snow White continues to cast chrysanthemums on Paul's grave, although there is nothing in it for her, that grave. I think she realizes that. But she was fond of his blood while he was alive. She was fond not of him, but of the abstract notion that to her meant him. I am not sure that that is the best idea. The failure of Snow White's arse, re-virginization of Snow White, apotheosis of Snow White. Snow White rises into the sky. The heroes depart in search of a new principle. Hi-ho.